Welcome back to RR Corporates. Now we will discuss on convertible note. What is convertible note? Convertible note is an instrument typically used by early stage companies, that is startups. It begins as a debt and is either repaid or convertible into equity of the company at the option of the holder. This instrument has a specific legal treatment both under Companies Act 2013 and via Foreign Exchange Management NDI Rules, Non-Debt Instruments Rules. I will explain you who can issue and who can subscribe to convertible notes and what are the legal provisions and compliances for each category. Key conditions, what are the timelines, what are the latest amendments, 2022 and 2024 there are amendments. First I will explain you who can issue, who can subscribe. The issuing entity is typically a company registered under Companies Act. Often a private limited company which qualifies as a startup as defined by the Department for the Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is DPIIT. So the company must comply with the private placement issuance provisions for Indian investors and for foreign investment norms for non-residents. Subscribers, resident and non-resident. For residents, Indian persons, entities, the Indian residents can subscribe to convertible notes issued by the company under Companies Act. Non-residents, foreign investors, NRIs, OCIs, they may subscribe subject to FEMA, NDI rules and subject to entity route, sectoral caps, dispatch of inward remittance. So thus, convertible notes instrument is not restricted only to foreigners. So Indian residents can subscribe under the domestic law regime, that is Companies Act and rules and regulations, whereas foreign investors subscribe under FEMA NDA. We'll see the legal framework and what are the laws involved. For Indian resident investors, the Companies Act 2013 and rules under it address the issuance of convertible notes, though not always by the exact name. For example, section 62 subsection 3 allows a company to raise a loan with an option to convert into equity, 62 subsection 3. So the company's acceptance of deposits rules 2014 deal with the definition of deposit and carve out for convertible notes for recognized startups. For instance, a startup accepted an amount of 25 lakh or more in a single tranche by way of convertible note from a person. This is exempt from being treated as a deposit provided it is convertible, repayable within the permitted period. Non-residents, that is foreign investors under FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Non-Debt Instruments Rules 2019, that is NDI Rules, provides for issue, acquisition, even transfer of convertible notes by non-residents in Indian startups. Specific conditions such as minimum investment, what is the conversion period, compliance of sectoral caps, pricing guidelines, these are all applies. Then key conditions, what are the compliance? What shall we must check? First, minimum investment and eligible issuer. The issuing entity must qualify as a startup as per DPIIT or at least be eligible under the relevant rules. For non-residents, the minimum one tranche amount is 25 lakh or more from each investor for issue of convertible notes. Conversion and repayment timelines, thus the convertible note must be either converted into equity of shares or repaid within a prescribed maximum period from the date of the issue. It has to be clearly drafted. For resident regime, the company's acceptance of deposits rules, repayment or conversion within 10 years for certain startups. For non-resident regime, NDI rules, earlier the period was 5 years, now amended up to 10 years. Now it is up to 10 years. And we have to see sectoral, entry route, pricing, reporting. If the startup operates in a sector where the FDI is subject to approval, then the issue to non-resident must have prior government approvals. On conversion, pricing must meet the prescribed fair value norms, guidelines under FEMA, SEBI, as the case may be. Comes to the reporting for foreign investment, the issuing company must report the issue, transfer to Reserve Bank of India, issue or transfer, reporting to RBI via Form CN. This has to be done on time because reporting to RBI. Latest updates and amendments if we discuss, because I told 2022-2024, increase of conversion, repayment period to 10 years. NDI rules under FEMA originally allowed convertible notes to be converted and repaid within 5 years from the date of the issue. That was the original, but amended on 1st April 2022. The period has been extended to maximum of 10 years now. Under the company's acceptance of deposit rules, the carve-out for startups similarly allows convertible notes to repayable convertible within 10 years. Even in 5th February 2024 amendment to NDI rules for share swaps and cross-border transfers, the NDI rules were further amended in August 2024, notification 16th August 2024, share swap transactions. So introducing the provisions for cross-border share swap transactions, that is transfer, issue of equity instruments of an Indian company in exchange for equity capital instruments of another Indian foreign company. While this is a broader amendment not limited to purely convertible notes, so it influences the foreign investment regime and thereby indirectly the convertible note exit or transfer possibilities for non-residents. Even the clarification, if you see, and master direction updates, if I go through the RBI master direction on foreign investment in Indian now incorporates these amendments, clarifying that convertible notes issued by startups in accordance with the NDI rules will be treated as a foreign direct investment instruments, FDI instruments. So practical implications. So what this means for startups and investors. For startups, this with the period now stretched to 10 years. So startups have more time to convert or repay, which is convenient, especially helpful for that growth phase where exit or next funding round may take time. A dual compliance here. When rising from foreign investor, startups must ensure compliance both under Companies Act and under FEMA NDI. Missing any condition, example like sector or approval reporting, could result in regulatory risk. So future exit or transfer planning, this is from 2024 amendment. This amendment facilitates share swaps and cross-border transfers. So this means planning the investor, the terms, conversion triggers, transfer rights may benefit from incorporating a new flexibility. Pricing clarity, yes, predefining the conversion price or mechanism, that is critical, especially in the foreign investment context, to satisfy pricing guidelines under FEMA, NDI. Even for investors, whether Indian or foreign, clarity on the timeline now. Investors now know the maximum tenure, now up to 10 years. In either which conversion or repayment must happen, either whatever is this. So this help the structure the investment accordingly. Earlier it was 5 years, now it is 10 years. And the exit and transfer possibilities are there. For foreign investors, these amendments around share swaps may improve liquidity or transfer options. A due diligence around compliance for non-resident investors. Inquire the issuing startup followed the correct route, whether it is automatic or approval, sectoral caps, pricing guidelines, remittance route, etc. Risk of the repatriation issues if non-compliant. So that has to be done. Due diligence has to be done before investing. Valuation and leverage considerations, if you see, since the convertible notes start as a debt that becomes equity, the terms conversion, discount, or trigger events, interest or no interest must align with the investor's risk return expectations and with the regulatory prescribed norms. Now I will tell you what are the do's and what are don'ts. I'll give you the checklist also. Do first ensure the company is recognized as a startup. First needs to be checked that. And meet other eligibility criteria like turnover limit, age of the company as per DPIIT needs to be checked. Then do document the documentation clearly, conversion option, repayment option, conversion period and amount, investors' rights. And do for non-resident investment check is sectoral cap in entry route and prior government approvals if required and remittance route reporting form CN FCGPR to RBI. These things needs to be checked. And don't treat the instrument as a deposit if you are relying on the exemption. Ensure it meets the convertible note definition. We have to check that. Debt convertible into equity and conversion repayment timelines needs to be checked. Don't ignore pricing valuation norms, especially for conversion into equity under FEMA. Do not overlook the filing or reporting compliance, ROC filings for Indian investors, RBI filings for foreign investors, because non-compliance may attract penalties. Don't overlook transfer exit terms, especially for foreign investors. Now with the amendments, there are more options for cross-border swaps. We have two channels, RR Corporates and RR Legal Talks. Please do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will not miss any of our latest videos. Thank you.